I was born in Manila, Philippines, in a little suburb called Quezon City. I lived in the slums of the Philippines, so I was already born into quite a bit of poverty. A house that I'd say was equivalent to the size of a bedroom that you'd see here. I was pretty happy with my cousins, with my grandma. We still had food on the table when we needed it. My father left my mom when she was pregnant with me. He ran off with another woman, and my mom wasn't around either because she was studying elsewhere to try and pretty much have a better life for me and herself as well. I had to live with my uncle, and at the time, he was actually getting into heavy drugs and alcohol as well. So there'd be times, and I have vivid memories of it as well, where it'd just be us two, take me like to the room, have me there, and he'd just start beating on me with whatever he could find and taking out his own brokenness on me. So from a very young age, I kind of had my value and self-worth kind of stripped away. A couple years later, my mom came back. She had married an Englishman who she met over in England, of course, and it was time for me to move over with her. At first, it was all good. I was in a new country, didn't know anyone, could barely speak English as well, and we lived in this massive house, so going from the extreme of poverty to suddenly having all this luxury was very hard for me to transition to. My stepfather and my mom would come home from work stressed, angry. I realized he had quite a bit of an anger problem, and my stepfather began abusing my mom, and then eventually abusing me as well. 2014, March the 4th, my family packed everything up and we moved over to New Zealand. So the complete other side of the world. I went from Philippines to England all the way here. And again, moving into a completely different environment, not knowing anyone, and still having that feeling of loneliness. Early high school, I'd start getting into a lot of fights. I hated going home because I knew what I was going home to, and everything that I wasn't able to express at home, I'd express it at school. And I remember this one night, I was just in my room and I just heard them arguing again, screaming, and then I heard my mom screaming my name, and suddenly I ran out of my room, ran into the kitchen, and he had her up against the wall, and I don't know what it was, but something inside of me just snapped. 15, 16 years of anger and of pain just came out, and I grabbed him, threw him to the ground, and started beating on him. I actually met this one guy who became my friend, so to speak. He was pretty heavy gang affiliated, and he started introducing me to the party scene and the drinking scene over here. And then one time, he brought me to this, I guess, Christian trust in Papatoe, and he told me it was boxing. There was something different about that place. After each training session, the guy that was taking it, he would pray. I hadn't cried for probably 15 years maybe. But in that moment, all those years of pain and anger and rejection just came out in tears, and it was crazy. I just broke down, like face in my hands, just crying, and I was just like, God, like, you're telling me to come to you, you're telling me you're my father, but you were never around, like you were just like everyone else. And I think in that moment of exchange with him, I just felt him say to me, like, despite all the people that walked out on you, despite all the people that hurt you and that mistreated you, I was the only thing that was constant in your life. And in that moment, I just felt nothing but love. I never thought I would be able to get rid of anger, but it wasn't an overnight thing, but God did it, and He took it away. And even just recently, I was in a place in my faith and in my journey where I actually started feeling compassion for my stepfather and my uncle and my own father. And I never thought I'd be able to forgive them for what they did. But I think what God showed me was, who am I not to forgive them if He can forgive me for everything that I've done?